Okay. Okay.
Still miss something.
So your name is
Mohamed Guma.
and you're studying
I'm doing a master's degree in industrial engineering.
in industrial engineering. Thank you. And the first question is basically what newspaper and TV slash radio channel did you read or watch in your country of origin?
You mean like local news?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if you want, you can like scroll
All right.
down through this. This is what I guess other people have.
All right.
said.
So basically, back home we have two kind of channels or news channels, I would say.
Okay.
We don't have a specific news channel. We have the national channel, and we have several private channels.
Okay.
And most of them, they have similar contents. I mean, they focus on what the government has been doing on this day, what happened in the country. They share just more stories. They don't even talk about like incidents or accidents. They're trying to be more positive. So they don't go deep. That's one of the things I would say.
Okay.
But I would say like newspapers wise, they write a lot. They go deep on details about different stories and accidents. So I prefer reading a column by a journalist instead of watching TV, which I will see. I think the TV are biased to some extent, but the newspaper are more neutral, are more open to talk about the different stories in more details.
Okay, so you said you prefer reading the newspaper over watching the bar.
Yeah,
the
I would
broadcast?
say the newspaper is more credible as a source of news
Okay.
compared to TVs, which is more controlled by the government. I would talk that about the past times. Now there is some kind of change in my country, but we're still trying to formulate that. It's still kind of the same.
Okay, and I'm so sorry. I think we missed this, important part. Where are you from again?
I'm from Sudan.
Sudan. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I
Sudan
thought.
is a
Yeah,
country in North Africa. We speak Arabic as a first language. We have access to some newspaper which is in English, but that's very limited. I would say like two of them is in English compared to maybe 40, 45, which is in the native language, which most people speak Arabic and read in Arabic.
Okay, so to go back to question one, the newspaper that you were reading, and then some of the, I guess, the channels that you get your news from. Do you remember what they're called?
Okay, so yeah, so the national TV called Sudan TV,
Sudan TV.
which is SUDAN TV,
Okay.
and then there is Blue Nile channel, but that's more about music. So they have their news, but Sudania 24, so S24, it would be called. Yeah, that's a good channel. They
Like 24/7.
yeah, S24. That's what they call it. That's a good channel.
Sudanian, like.
Yeah, it's called Sudania, but if you, it could go like no, it's like this, but it goes with S24, I would say. So S24 should be in us. Okay, wow. It should be at the shift. I'm not used to this.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, so S24.
Okay.
That's a good channel. It's been existed just for 3 or 4 years. It's kind
so
of
it's like
new,
Okay.
but I would say their content is always really good.
Okay, like in good in a way that is positive, or in a way
Yeah, in a
that
positive
is
way.
Unbiased.
Yeah, it's in a positive way. I would say I felt sometimes they were biased, but I think the change in our country now, they push them to be biased. I remember like there is so many people, they say, well, we have a campaign, we're gonna dislike this channel, we're gonna report them on Facebook, because like there was a movement and uprising and their content was somehow biased to the government.
Because media is
Yeah.
controlled by the government.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. But once the government is gone, they have no choice.
Okay.
They need to attract those people again and those followers. So now their
It's
content
changing.
is changing. That's what I
Okay.
noticed.
Okay,
It's
so
either on
it's
social-
becoming less biased.
Yeah,
you
it's
would
less
say,
biased. They're
more
giving more. They are with the people. In the news, why my perception, you need to give people what they want. That's how you grow. I mean, unless you are non-for-profit, which is normally you're being supported by someone else. But in a channel, in a newspaper, you need to give people what they want, and
I
people
mean,
want.
Is that what they
clarity.
do? They give you what you want?
I mean, what you want is actually professional journalism,
Oh, okay,
which is
okay,
the
in
right
terms of
content,
that.
something
Okay.
that
Okay.
actually happening. You want them to discuss the issues that's
Okay.
happening in the society,
Okay.
not to discuss or go into things that's not actually important. Like the government went with this president with this president and then trying to improve their relationship. That's very vague and ambiguous. So we're not looking for that. We want to know what's going on, what's going to happen with the economy, what's those issues going to happen, how do you improve the safety and the environment.
So people want real content.
Yeah, exactly. I think people are more aware and they want the real content. That's why people in the past they've been forced to look for foreign news, to just look in the worldwide, and they just like in terms of news they just look for social media, like me or everybody else who shares the stories, and they think that's more credible as a source of a news than the TV channels, which is normally ignore those kind of negative stories, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And then question 2 is that I think so you said that you usually watch Sudan TV, Sudania 24, or you choose like the newspaper. So why did you choose this news outlet and not the others?
Okay, I would say in terms of Sudan TV, I just look at the government opinion or government like just view of things. So I'm trying to just have different perceptions as a person. So you just give you like those are biased to the government, and other resources are actually giving you another view, which is like what is actually happening. And there is a gap. So you're trying to fill this gap, what's going on. So you're trying to just understand what's going on overall in the news and the media. And you get different news from different channels,
Yeah.
I would say. So you're just being more aware of what's going on, so you can be effective as a citizen or in the society overall. I know people who just watch this, like the Sudan TV, like my dad was just watching this, and he was like, hey, the country is good.
Oh, okay.
But other people who read the news, especially those news who have been focused on accidents and different incidents that's happening, they will have a different perception, like, oh no, the country is not doing great, we have bad economy, and the safety is not available everywhere. So it's just different perceptions, but you want to know both, so you can talk to people at least. Hey guys, like I talked to my dad, I said like, oh dad, no, you're missing this. This is not the full story. And I talk to other people and I tell them, hey, maybe the government is doing something right on this. Like we don't have to be totally negative about this. So yeah, I think the media is kind of biased anyway in the end. So even here in the US, I felt like, hey, the CNN will be more democratic and the Fox will be
It's
more
definitely more on
conservative.
the blue side, yeah.
Yeah, I think like we rarely find a neutral resource.
Yeah.
I felt sometimes the BBC, for example, in England, they are like, oh, neutral. But sometimes I feel they are attacking those Middle East power, let's say Saudi Arabia and stuff. They cover in much details anything that happens there. And they're trying to make it negative. Well, I know there's some negatives, but yeah, you feel like, hey, wherever a news channel or a newspaper goes into story, they have agenda in behind. It's just rarely you find them like totally neutral.
Okay, so basically, why you choose Sudan TV and Sudania 24, and the other newspaper that you read is to
Just to be
give
wide.
to give you like a more knowledge of what's
Exactly.
going on. So you just don't believe in one single story.
It's actually interesting to look at different views and try to, let's say, as you said, be more knowledgeable about what is going on, but just see how they are covering this, why they are covering it in this way. Just to see like, hey guys, like why they are doing this, or why are they focusing on this story instead of other stories. So yeah.
Thank you. And question 3 is, what is currently the most important news story in your country of origin right now?
Yeah, I would say right now because we have a transitional government in place.
Okay.
So
Those are
basically,
big.
yeah, so basically we have a civilian government and we have the military council, and they both share power. So basically the president right now is the head of the military council.
Okay.
In the other hand, the prime minister is actually a civilian person.
Okay.
So both there is, you feel like, hey, how is this gonna be? So this that they have, like, the military council have power, or they have the called power, especially in the, let's say, in the foreign domestic policies, and also like on the defense part of the ministry. But the civilian government, they deal with economy and the other things. So it's just interesting to see how both could share power, because like few months ago they didn't agree on anything. Everyone was like, hey, we want a complete civilian government, which is the right thing in my opinion. But the military council, they say, hey, we are protecting the citizen from any other thing, so you can't just ignore us. We have a part on this uprising. So yeah, there is it's growing, like there is so many things going on. Like it's just we are focused more on the prime minister policies, everything he's doing right now to change the country, because we're having a trouble with economy. Our economy now is improving. Like we are trying to decrease the inflation. For example, we're trying to get people to have more jobs. We're trying to introduce more policies to attract hard currency, which is basically the US dollars, from our citizen or everybody who's transferring money instead of using the black market. So it's just we are focused more now on what's our prime minister, who we think and we have our backing, is doing to change the situation, because we feel the situation need to be changed.
So it's
as
not
soon as possible.
necessarily like the Sudanian. Is that what you guys are called, the Sudanian people?
Sudanese.
Sudanese.
Yeah.
Sudanese.
Mhm.
So it's not basically like you guys are trying to overthrow any government. It's just like you accept that there will be,
Yeah.
a share of power
Mhm.
within the government system,
Mhm.
and you just want to know what the other one is doing over.
Exactly.
The
Of course,
militant
there is
government.
opposition. Well, 1 year ago we had another president, and we still have his party. Anyway, he's in prison, but his party is existing. And they say, well, this is not a good situation. In the past, it was better. So there are few people, I would say, in opposition, but mostly people are like just looking and moving forward. Of course, they still have their demands, which is justice, peace, and freedom. So people want a free country, free journalism. They're trying to be like in compliance with different international rules and stuff. So yeah, it's just people, they're gonna move on with this government, and they know in 3 years the military council should have power, we should have an election, and then we should have a complete civilian government in place.
Oh, so you guys still want to overthrow them?
I mean, it's just a part of a deal. We accept the deal with them, because the civilian union, actually, they talked to us. They told us like, hey, we cannot get a better deal. And this deal was agreed by international power being in place, like all those countries, big countries, who were like, hey guys, we should have agreement. So they came together and agreed on this, which is, we feel like we could have done better, but the time is moving, so we're trying to just like move with this.
And I bet it
try
was like a
positive.
long and tiring fight, so you're just like, this isn't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the end, they are our army. Anyway, I know it's sad, but they are our army. We can't, it's not good like to fight against your army, and they have the weapons and they have everything. So you want to know, like, hey, like, if we didn't get any backing from the international community, they will still do what they want to do. Because, as I said, they could kill people. They could just they could just terrorize people and say like, we have the power. We have the real power. But they know diplomatically they don't hold the power. So so they've been watching by the international community and some other neighbor countries. So that's why we move on with this.
So you would say that the most important news story in Sudan right now would just be like about hope and.
Yeah, I would say that. It's just like watching how things developing and changing. So it's just the changes that's happening every day. And people are still like, hey, we want to just, this gap, we want to just close it. I know people, they have, as you said, they have high hopes, but sometimes we need to be realistic as well. Like it's not gonna change overnight. Even that's what the prime minister
So
said.
that's why like the media is coming, I guess, playing a role and telling you guys like, oh, this is, you know, the realistic side of it. This is how we're, you know, our economy is doing, and is like, are they helping you with that? You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. I mean, people get to know what's happening basically through the media. And I would say one of the great resources of media now is social media. I mean, in the past, we didn't have the prime minister like to have a Twitter account. Now he has a Twitter account. He communicates directly to the people. Like that's mostly what I get from him. He shared like a roadmap. He didn't say like, oh, we don't go to Sudan 24 or Sudan TV to get the things, or we can just look for it for the analysis.
Okay.
But now there is this direct relation with the prime minister and other government ministers who will like share their things directly. I've done this, I'm gonna do this, and they're very clear and transparent.
Okay. Well, as long as the prime minister isn't abusing Twitter power.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
you know.
I think people now
Like Trump.
he knows people have the power to change. They could go in the street again. People sacrifice their lives and people are not gonna forget them. Yeah, it's like in every country. So now if they don't, we are watching you. That's what people say. Even people, they were on the streets a few days ago and they went, some of them like, hey, don't go on the street, we are doing good. Like no, but people insisted to go and to say like, hey, we support you as long as you fulfill our demands, as long as you're doing right, are you going right. The moment you just diverse from where we want you to go, you're not going to be our prime minister. And some people actually criticize him. That wasn't happening in the past.
So it seems like the people have a lot of power there. Yeah.
Well, people had
Do
a very successful revolution.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because
Well,
you know, in most cases where the military is in control, like that's usually not the case. People usually don't have voices. So
I mean,
guess-
yeah. You look
Yeah.
at countries like Rwanda, for example, and it's a very good example. They had a civil war for many years, and their military or their army held power. But in the end, they changed it. And I think I don't really know the story. It's like women have played a very good part, as in Sudan as well. So yeah, so the change happened. Now Rwanda is actually one of the very growing countries in the world. Their economy is very growing. They're growing fast. You look at them; they have a tourist industry, and also they manufacture the first smartphone in Africa, which is great. So it's totally being manufactured in
You would
Rwanda.
not think that stuff
Yeah.
like that would ever happen in Rwanda.
Yeah,
huh?
that's just the
Yeah.
consequences of countries pushing to be great, as happened in Singapore, which took it like just 30 years to change totally. Now it's one of the best countries in terms of education and in terms of other things. And that's one of the things people now are being focused in my country, like, hey, education, healthcare, and those are the basic foundational things.
Okay, so moving on to question 4. What do or did you like about the mass media in your country of origin?
What I like is that, as I said, is just the different opinions you get, different perceptions. So it's pretty diverse. You read this newspaper and you get this perception. You read another one and you get totally different perception. So you get those kind of different analysis and you will be more aware as a person. Of course, if you take it if you take it like as a right, you will not be more open to understand what's going on. But if you take it with a grain of salt, you will, hey, no, this might not be right. So you will try to read another thing. So just a wide range of different perspectives. That will be my answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just like that there are a lot of information out there for you guys. But then, you know, for other people that may not be the case, because you would think like the news station, they're supposed to be covering the same, you know, like the same story with a view that would be best for the public. and not necessarily be influenced by any high power who are out there. So you think like, so I mean, I just think that
Might be confusing.
no, I just find it, I guess, interesting that that's what you like about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they don't cover different news. Well, if it's a major breakout, they will cover it.
Yeah.
If something is like a major decision has been introduced by the president, for example, change of policy, then like even like the increase of fuel prices, that's a big thing. So yeah, every newspaper, every channel, they will talk about it, but they will talk about it in a different way,
With different views,
different
different
views
opinions.
and different opinions,
Yeah.
and that's very interesting because yeah, you expect them to agree on something, but sometimes, especially in the newspaper, in different columns by those writers who are like, some of them are brave, they don't care to get arrested or for their newspaper to be banned. You get a really different view, and you might get an insider information because some of them like dig deep, they have their resources. So yeah, that's actually very insightful. Yeah,
So that's what you like about it.
that's what I like about, and that's what most people like about them. Like even those journalists who were like brave to criticize the government when the government has a total power, and they get punished, they get into prison for it, but they gave the people what they're looking for, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And question 6, we're almost done. What is the biggest misconception people in the U.S. have about your country of origin?
Misconception.
About
I would say there is a lot. So people think I speak, for example, French because most people in Africa most countries speak French, and they don't realize like some countries speak Arabic, and some other countries speak one country, Equatorial Guinea, speak Spanish. Angola speak Portuguese, and some countries speak English. So it's like very diverse. Like for example, Nigeria is surrounded by countries that speak French, but they speak English. So yeah, that's actually one of the things. Other things I would say, well, since they haven't been there, they think like maybe the country, like they don't have a tourism industry, although we have pyramids, for example. But I would say that's not their fault, or that's not because they don't know their geographies or anything like that. I would say our media didn't cover that. Like, hey, we have pyramids, we have the River Nile, we have other things, but maybe the media didn't cover that, or maybe the media didn't reach to them over here. Yeah. Also, people don't know what our capital is, where we are, other things. Yeah, I feel like the media, for example, here, they are more interested about the domestic policy, which is I could understand. Yeah, they will cover something outside if they affect the country here, so they don't usually cover stories in other countries. Yeah, so I felt like the covering of the Sudan uprising wasn't that great in the US. But the moment like things start to break out, people start to be aware. Like for example, celebrities hearing about this, like Rihanna and other celebrities. Like even there's this singer who shared a song. He made a song for Sudan and those people. So yeah, the moment they felt like there is hope, those people have followers. They know about this. Now we can't stay silent. We need to share, because they will get to know anyway, and then we need to give them something about these stories. So yeah, people are more interested here about the domestic policies which affect their lives. They don't want to know more about the stories that happening outside, which is could help them with their lives, could give them insight, could make them, for example, appreciate what they have here, like which is a democracy, at least you could say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is there anything else you would like to add about media or cultural differences between Americans and Sudanians?
Yeah, okay, Sudanese.
Sudanese.
So yeah, I would say in terms of media, well, the media here is very clear and transparent. They go into it. They criticize the government. They could criticize the president. They could do undercover stories. They could share every and anything. That might be kind of uncomfortable in my country. Like, hey, you can cover the story, but you still need to change your words to be like more diplomatic. So you won't be like having a caricature about the president, for example, in Sudan, which could be like, hey, people will be like, what? That's like big thing. Yeah, but here, yeah, you could find this in any newspaper. And they are very open. Like, I had an interview with the Wall Street about the declining number of international students coming to the US. And that was in direct thing with the policies. And the journalist actually I felt like he was trying to say to me, hey, this is because of the government, it's because of the policies. I was trying to go into other factors, but he was more interested of hearing me about me criticizing the government because that's
But you're
their
not
agenda.
used to that.
Yeah, I'm not
You
used to that,
yeah, okay.
and that could get me somehow into trouble. I
yeah.
mean, I know like they know me now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not afraid of that, but I'm not comfortable with just being clear. Like, this is because of him. It's because of these policies. So even in my wording, I was trying to be diplomatic, but the journalist was looking for that. He actually shared this part of my story and what I told him, although I told him a lot of things, but he just quoted a little bit of my words, which is clearly just, hey, we are in this situation because of the current administration. So yeah, I would say like the differences are huge, or somehow, because of, let's say, the journalists over there didn't get used to be in total freedom sharing what they want. They were like being like restricted by the government and other things, and they know like, hey, now maybe with the change, with like if they get granted full rights, they might be comfortable of sharing anything, because that's what people are looking for sometimes. You just criticize clearly, like, this is not right, it's not, has to be changed. Yeah, so that's a big difference.
So you would say that the biggest difference would be like the freedom.
Yeah, it's the
we
freedom
have.
of journalism.
The freedom,
In terms of culture, like of people like getting access to media and being interested in the media, I would say people in my country are more interested. I would say like people here, they are not
They just
aware.
don't really care.
Yeah, they don't really care. They are just like, unless it's a big thing, they might get to know it. But you could ask any person about what's the major or breakout story right now, and I'm sure some of them won't answer, some will answer different things. Okay, it's just, unless your major is journalism, unless it's your work or it's your passion, you're not gonna go into it. People are more busy with their living. People everywhere are busy with that, but people here like, hey, they put more time into TV show than other stuff. So they are not like concerned about CNN or whatever other channels, what they're doing. Yeah, and maybe they will be more interested during the elections, but then the situation will go back unless,
I know what you mean. Thank you so